You're watching DX Recaps, the place where we break down movies fast, clear, and spoiler-packed. Whether you missed it, forgot it, or just want a quick refresh, we've got you covered. Let's get into the story. The story begins with a married couple, Tori and Kyle, who have been together for many years but are still childless. One night, Tori hears strange noises outside their home. When she looks out the window, she sees a glowing red light in the distance, as if something has fallen from the sky. The scene fades, and the next one shows a video of a baby. 10 years later, that baby has grown into a young boy named Brandon, now living happily with Tori and Kyle, who have adopted him. One night, as Tori paints in her room, strange red lights and eerie sounds come from the garage. At the same time, Brandon, asleep in his room, begins to shake violently before getting up and jumping out the window. Tori rushes outside but sees nothing unusual. As she heads back inside, something quickly moves behind her. Thinking it's Brandon playing around, she follows the noise to the garage and finds him trying to force open a locked basement door glowing with a strange red light. Shocked, she pulls him away and calms him down. The next day, Kyle and Brandon work together in the yard. Kyle leaves briefly, asking Brandon to cut the grass. When the mower doesn't start, Brandon angrily yanks the cord, and the heavy machine flies several feet away. Surprised, he looks at his hands in disbelief. Curious, he puts his hand inside the running machine's spinning blades, but nothing happens to him. The machine breaks instead. Brandon realizes he has some kind of strange power. Time passes, and Brandon turns 12. His parents take him out to celebrate his birthday with friends. One of Kyle's friends jokingly gifts Brandon a gun, but Kyle refuses to let him have it, saying he's too young. Brandon gets angry and misbehaves, forcing Kyle to end the party early. Later that night, his parents discuss the changes in Brandon's behavior. When they search his room, they find disturbing cutout pictures of animals and strange magazines, worrying that something is wrong with him. Tori suggests they take a camping trip to spend time together and talk to him openly. At the campsite, Kyle tries to bond with Brandon and teach him about growing up, but things remain tense. That night, Tori wakes up to find Brandon missing from his bed. Meanwhile, one of Brandon's classmates experiences strange occurrences in her room. Her laptop keeps playing music on its own. Suddenly, she spots Brandon hiding behind her curtain and screams. Her mother rushes in, frightened, while the scene cuts back to Tori finding Brandon outside, who casually says he just went to the bathroom. Later, Kyle hears the chickens in the garage screaming. Armed with a gun, he investigates and finds Brandon staring at the birds intensely. The chickens panic at his presence. Kyle questions him, but Brandon stays silent and walks away. Later that night, Kyle hears noises again and discovers all the chickens have been brutally killed. He calls Tori, convinced Brandon is responsible, but she refuses to believe him. The next day at school, Brandon's teacher organizes a trust game where students must catch a falling classmate. When it's Brandon's turn, a girl fails to catch him, and everyone laughs. Furious, he grabs her hand and breaks it. His parents are called to the school and learn Brandon is suspended. The tension at home grows, and Tori confides in Kyle that the strange object in the garage seems to be calling to Brandon. That night, the red light shines again from behind the locked door, and an eerie alien language is heard. Brandon awakens, breaks the lock, and approaches the light. Tori runs in to find him floating in midair, surrounded by the red glow. When she reaches him, he falls to the ground, injuring his hand for the first time ever. Shocked, he asks Tori who he really is. She finally confesses that 13 years ago, they found him inside a crashed spacecraft near their home. Unable to have children, they adopted him and kept the ship hidden in the basement, never telling him the truth. Hearing this, Brandon becomes enraged. His eyes glow with red light as he declares, "I'll end everyone," revealing that whatever fell from the sky years ago brought with it something far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Brandon's anger grows uncontrollable as he vows not to spare anyone. Meanwhile, his classmate is shown working on her laptop when it suddenly shuts down. When she looks up, she sees Brandon standing right in front of her. He tells her not to scream or make any noise and tries to offer her a flower, but she nervously replies that her mother has forbidden her to talk to him. Saying she must keep her distance, she turns away, and Brandon disappears. Later that night, her mother, who owns a small restaurant, is seen closing up. Suddenly, strange glowing marks appear on the windows, and the lights begin to flicker. Confused and frightened, she looks around. Then a bulb bursts, and a sharp piece of glass pierces her eye. In pain, she glimpses a masked figure moving in the dark. It's Brandon. Terrified, She hides in the storeroom, but Brandon blasts the door open with his laser-like powers and brutally kills her. The next day, police arrive at the restaurant but find no clues about who committed the murder. Concerned, Tori takes Brandon to see a counselor, who is also her friend. The counselor asks Brandon questions, but she can't find any clear reason behind his strange and violent behavior. Later that night, while Kyle and his friends are playing games at a bar, the counselor is home alone. A sudden knock at the door reveals Brandon, who warns her not to tell anyone about him or it will end badly. When she demands that he leave, Brandon grows angry. She retreats inside, locks the door, and tries to calm down, but Brandon soon returns wearing his mask. Moments later, her husband arrives home and sees Brandon outside. Thinking he's just a troubled kid, he offers to give him a ride home. But Brandon's eyes begin to glow red with fury. The man's car suddenly malfunctions, and as he looks up, he sees Brandon floating in front of the vehicle. Believing he must be drunk, he shakes his head, until his car suddenly lifts into the air and crashes violently to the ground. The impact smashes his face against the steering wheel. Brandon calmly walks over to the wreck, dips his finger in the man's blood, and draws his mysterious symbol before flying away. At home, Tori and Kyle grow worried as Brandon hasn't returned. When he finally does, shirtless and disheveled, Tori questions him. He lies, saying he was playing with friends and fell, which is why his shirt got torn. When Tori asks for the shirt, he hides it and goes to his room. Kyle and Tori realize he's lying. That night, Kyle wakes from a nightmare in which he sees Tori standing near a crashed spacecraft, holding a bloody baby in her arms. Startled awake, he gets a call from Tori's friend. Her husband, the counselor's husband, has been in a terrible accident. At the hospital, they learn the man has died. The counselor asks if Brandon had been home that night, and Kyle's fears are confirmed. The next morning, Kyle questions Brandon, accusing him of knowing something about the death. Brandon denies everything, but when Kyle keeps pressing, Brandon violently throws him across the room with one hand. Shocked, Kyle realizes that Brandon really did kill the man. Still, Tori refuses to believe it until Kyle later finds Brandon's bloodstained shirt. He shows it to her, insisting that Brandon is not human but a dangerous creature from another world. She still defends her son, but Kyle decides to end it himself. He takes Brandon on a hunting trip, planning to kill him. When Brandon walks ahead, Kyle raises his gun and shoots, but the bullet has no effect. Brandon looks at him coldly and vanishes. Terrified, Kyle runs, but Brandon swoops down from the sky, slams him to the ground, and kills him by burning through his skull with his laser eyes. At home, Tori keeps calling Kyle, but Brandon answers instead, coldly saying that his father is gone. Horrified, Tori realizes Kyle is dead. She asks where Brandon is, and he replies, "I'm home." She looks outside to see him floating in front of their house. In panic, she calls the police. When the officers arrive, one suddenly explodes as Brandon attacks. The female officer orders Tori to hide and calls for backup, but Brandon kills her too. Tori hides under the bed, trembling, as her son, now a monster, stalks the house. Desperate, she escapes through a window and remembers that only the spaceship once harmed Brandon. Rushing to the garage, she grabs a sharp piece from the wrecked craft and calls out to him. When Brandon appears, she pretends to love him and hugs him tightly, planning to stab him. But he stops her hand midair, his expression turning furious. Lifting her high into the sky, he lets her fall to her death. Moments later, Brandon spots a passenger plane in the distance. The next scene shows it crashing, killing all 268 people on board. His symbol is found at the crash site, implying he caused the disaster. Authorities believe the plane crashed onto the farmhouse, killing Kyle and Tori, but their son Brandon somehow survived. The final shot shows Brandon calmly eating a biscuit as news reports of the tragedy play in the background, his face cold, emotionless, and inhuman. And that's a wrap on today's recap. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a plot twist. Got a movie you want recapped? Drop it in the comments below. This is DX Recaps. See you in the next one.